Hello, it's me, and we're going to go over another concept within the context of a different type of a puzzle. We've talked about, we've seen vertex turners, we've seen skewed turning, we've seen face turning. This is a new kind of a turn, and which is basically edge turning. So this would be the edge here, this would be the edge here, and this is the axis at which you're turning them. Now when you get something like this, and you have the interesting geometry that arises from this, you get this concept called jumbling. Jumbling is something that we've not gone over before, but it's certainly worth it since a lot of new puzzles display this feature, and it's a good idea to know how to kind of organize our way through that. So what is jumbling? Well, we've talked about the concept of shape-shifting. And we distinguished two kinds of shape-shifting, one of which will be demonstrated by this axis cube. This is the kind of shape-shifting that I call rotatory single-segment shape-shifting, where basically this is usually because of a modification of one native shape to another. But you can tell you can turn it about the axis over here, then you can make another turn, as you can see, we've shifted the shape. But you can also notice that all of the components are relatively where they're supposed to be in relation to the center. So we've not destroyed our face. I know it's kind of hard to see with this one, but basically, if we were to define, say, this is our center and these are our edges, and I turn it over here, these colors here. At some point I can do a little tutorial on this guy too. But as I turn it over here, I still have maintained where my edges are supposed to be, and I can move it in accordance. So it makes it kind of easy with that standpoint, easier. And in terms of the solve, I don't worry about the shape-shifted form until the very end. The other kind is what I call the entire edge shape-shifting, where you obliterate a face, as demonstrated by this odd-to-odd symmetry of a 3x3x5. You turn, bring it around, and then you can see that I've obliterated the face, and each component doesn't really maintain its specific position. And the solution to this is basically getting it back to the cuboid form and then doing solves from there. So in addition to those shape-shifting, it's also important to understand the concept of bandaging. A bandage, that's pretty simple. Basically what that is that's where you've taken two segments that are supposed to be able to move and you've combined them together. Either because you just put a sticker over them, or you welded them together, or whatever. But when you look at the internal structure, they should be able to move. An example, the nearest example that I can give with that are, these crazy 3x3s, or the crazy Megaminx, that you would expect when it turns, the center turns with it. That's the expected motion. But a couple of them are what I would call bandaged because it doesn't turn. So that makes things a little more complicated. As you can see more clearly here, this doesn't turn, so we say that it's bandaged. Now in this type of bandage, you could easily change that by cutting the bandage. And because the internal structure doesn't rely on that, you have a perfectly functioning puzzle. I could take the center out, cut it down, put it back, and then it moves perfectly. I haven't sort of destroyed the puzzle. So what then is jumbling? Well, jumbling is a specific kind of shape-shifting that leads to a variable degree of bandaging. In other words, things are prevented. One move is prevented where it's supposed to otherwise be able to move. But that kind of bandaging happens because of the external structure that happens with that. So quite simply put, something is said to display jumbling if when doing one move and then doing another move after that, a move that should normally return reverse that other move cannot be done because it is blocked. It's bandaged. So an example of that is, I can take this, move this, turn, turn, turn. Nothing is blocked. It's back to its native form over there. If I do one move and then another move, if that move is now blocked, then we say that it's jumbled. So an example of that, I can move this, say, over here, and then move this over here. So we're now shape-shifted, but I can't move this back. So we are jumbled, and I can't move this back because of this external structure. Now with bandaging, if I cut the bandage, I should be able to move, like with latch cubes, things like that. But here, there's no way to cut this to make it move. This is a move that I should be able to turn back because this was an accepted move here. But, or is it? But I find that after making this move, I can't move it back. So now I'm bandaged. And this gives me a little bit more of a challenge because now I'm restricted in what kind of moves I can do. I can move this around here, and now I can move it. So move it over here, and I'm and I can't. So that's basically what that means. The overall strategy of jumbling is you want to get it out of the jumbled form first, and then you want to solve it, just basically with your algorithms. But occasionally you have to use jumbled moves in order to get things back into position. So when solving these two, the technique is similar, and I'm going to kind of go through each one independently, but we'll start off with this helicopter cube. Really fun cube once you get the hang of it, and once you get the hang of this jumbling effect where you find yourself unable to make certain moves. When we describe how this puzzle behaves, when you have edge shifters, we have to sort of skew our perspectives in a way that we didn't have to do with the face turners. And what we talk about is we talk about orbits and accepted places where certain components can move. Now I'm going to define this, even though it's not a face turner, I'm going to define it like faces. These I'm going to define as centers, and these I'm going to define as corners. Unlike the mods, where if it turns like this, it might seem like it's a corner turner. It might seem like it's an edge turner, but it's actually not, and I'm not going to define this as a side. I'm going to keep it as an edge and define it as such. Which means that this can only move within certain orbits. If I move this over here, it can only be here. I can move this here, it can only be here. So I will never be able to take this and move this really to here or to here. It's always got to be here. The orbit that this is going to stay in is going to follow basically around like this. So this can only come over to here. So it'll come to here, and then from here it can come to here. So if I'm doing these, quote, legal moves, then it has to stay within its orbit. If I jumble it, there's a jumbling maneuver that I can do which will take it out of that orbit and put it in another orbit. So in deciding how to solve this puzzle, I'm going to go over some basics in terms of how we can use jumbling to remove this from its orbit or transfer it from within its orbit and just exchange it with another piece that's in its orbit. So first thing to notice in terms of the behavior of this puzzle is how perhaps these guys can move, because that's going to be potentially important later on. Now it's a pretty simple puzzle. There's only so many moves that you can do, and it's going to be sort of a down and up type of maneuver that you're going to be doing. But let's say these are basically placed intuitively except for the jumbling areas. What about these guys? Well, there's only two algorithms, two moves to know as to what you need to do to move these guys around. One of which is going to be to rotate these. So if I hold it over here, what I'm going to do is these are all going to be exactly where they're at, but they're going to be rotated around. What's going to happen is that this is going to stay exactly where it is, and these guys are going to rotate. And starting with the right, so we can define this move here as being right up, and this is right down, or you can say UR or upright, or DR. For the face, you can say FU or UF, depending on your sensitivities, or you can say FD and as such. But starting here with the right side, I don't get too much into the vernacular of it, but you turn this here, 1, 1, 1, 1, do it again, 2, 2, 2, 2, do it again, 3, 3, 3, 3. So what that in essence did, after rotating it 3 times, all these stayed the same, this stayed the same, and after rotating it in a counterclockwise way, all of these rotated clockwise out of where they're supposed to be. So this rotated clockwise out, as did this, as did this. So that's going to be important in terms of how we're going to conduct ourselves with the solve. So now we can just use the same process to get it back. 1. So eventually that does that. So that's going to be important later. The last thing in terms of the corners is, let's say we wanted to shift these guys around. Well, to do that, we're going to make like a backwards C formation. Starting here, we're going to come across here, and then down. We're going to come across here, and then back. So starting with up front, UF, what this is going to do is this is going to keep this exactly where it is, then it's going to rotate these. So this is a 3-cycle turn. So turn, 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 then come back, turn, turn, then come forward again, turn, turn, turn. All right, so what that did is this kept this exactly where it was, and these guys shifted. So this green, red, and yellow went over here. So again, if I were to put if I were to put words to that particular algorithm, this will stay the same. We'll just rotate it around again. UF, UR, UB, UR, UF, UR, UB, UR. So that did the same thing one more time. So I just think of it as I'm kind of making a backwards C and then retracing my steps, and you can just look for visual cues when you're done. So that's pretty much it in terms of rotation with this. If I wanted to rotate something out of its plane or out of its specific orbit, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my one jumble maneuver that I'm going to be using kind of time and again. What this is going to do is it's going to substitute these two. It's going to exchange these two. So actually, let's put it over here. So I'm going to be exchanging these two in this process. So these two are going to exchange orbits. So turn this over here so that this is facing to the right. Turn this over here so this is facing to the left. And what you're going to do is you're going to move this up here, and this is going to move down so that you can see the two that are, so you can see these two are going to be exchanged. And then you do this U move, turn it all the way around, turn it down and back. So now when we turn it back here and here, you can see that's exactly what happened. These two got exchanged. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is that this and this are going to exchange within their orbits. So these are actually in their same orbit, but these two are going to exchange within their orbits. So these two are going to switch orbits. These two are going to be swapped within the same orbit that they're in. So turn, turn. So as you can see, these two are going to be swapped. These two are going to be exchanged as well. So turn, turn, 1, 2, bang, bang. I'll put that back. Okay, that's all you need to know. So let's go through the process of scrambling this. Now as I'm scrambling it, I'm actually going to want to jumble it as I'm scrambling. So I'll turn this up here, turn this here, double turn it here. And I'm going to do first, just a variety of 180-degree turns. And every couple of turns, I'm going to go ahead and do a little jumbled scramble as well. And that's my classic jumble scramble, because what I'm doing is I'm taking things out of orbit. And as I'm taking them out of orbit, I know that it's going to give me a lot more complications in terms of how to solve it. Boom, boom, bang. And just by random chance, I should be able to get this pretty well scrambled. I'm going to go ahead and do my shape-shifting scramble. Now because of the fudging effect, because of the jumbling effect, you're going to find very quickly that I may become limited with how much I can turn. Alright, so move this here. Now notice this should be able to turn, but it doesn't. So this is jumbled. Now I could push it through this, but by pushing it through that, I risk damaging it. It's not, quote, a legal move. So this is jumbled over here. So you're going to find that as you're scrambling it in a shape-shifting way, we very quickly start to become limited with the types of moves and the types of scrambles that we can do, unless we start to move things around to make it look even more shape-shifted. And there's probably a lot of pretty designs that you can make with this, if that's what you want to do. But I think I'm getting to a point where I've probably done as many turns as I can before I run out of options. So this is pretty well jumbled. I'm really pretty limited in terms of what I can do, so I think for illustrated purposes. Now, I don't want you to make too much about getting it back into the cube form. It is pretty intuitive. There are specific strategies. It reminds me a lot of the square one puzzle, in that sometimes it happens easy, sometimes it happens quick, and sometimes it just takes a lot of doing. Basically what I'm going to want to do is see these areas that are sticking out here. I want to start associating them with these pits that are in here. So I'm going to just try to associate these together. So I'm seeing this over here. Maybe I can, yeah, this is jumbled over here. So let's see if we can't move this out of the way here. Alright, this is here. I get a little fan blade effect. When I see that, I'm just going to associate these together. Can't do anything there. And move this out of the way here. Okay. Maybe move this like so. Move this into here. So now I'm going to try to maybe associate this guy with this piece over here. So, see about moving this like that. move this into position here, here, and now I can maybe, nope, this won't turn. Okay, so this can slide into here perhaps. I created a side over here, created this side, and bang. So just do the best you can. Now the technique that I'm going to use is the first step is I'm going to get a center. And I always start off with green, as I've just always done it that way. So I'm going to put one within this orbit. Here's one within an orbit here. Well, this is within this orbit over here, so I'll move this like so. Now what I see right away is these two occupy the same orbit. And just like electrons, they don't want to do that. They all have to have their own separate orbits. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put this over to here. So I'm going to do my first jumbled move, rejumbling rather. This comes here, this comes here. So we move this down to the side, bring this up, bring this down. These two will exchange, double turn, and I'll bring it back up. So now this is where it needs to be. So to place them, it's just a matter of moving it out of the way, moving it in, and bringing it in. All right, that's the only jumbling move that you need to know, or rejumbling move. So bring this over here, bring this up here. These two are occupying the same orbital plane. We don't like that. Pauling exclusion principle says that that's not kosher. So move this over here. So turn, turn, bring it up, bring this down, double turn, and we have ourselves a ball game. There it is there. So we want to move this up here, move this out of the way, turn, turn, and turn. So we've got this side. So then this center rather. So the next step is now we want to put in these sides over here. Well, it doesn't matter where they come from. If it's positioned, I have to position it to where it's on the opposite side on the bottom, because then I can just turn it back up. So now what I do is I just pick the other green that has the yellow one here, and that's right over here. Turn this here. This happens to coincide with that. Lift it up, so we're good. All right, what about the one with the white? Here's that one here, so let's move this, see if it, and it's upside down here, so that's fine. And then bring it up, and we've got the white. This is coming together all too easy. Bring this over here, bring this over here. Now this needs to come up here, but it's not in the right configuration. This has to be upside down. See, this won't come in here. So here's what I would do. Keep it, position it just below, then turn it upside down to where this is on the now upside. And now we want to use our algorithm that rotates this. So if I hold it like this and I do my rotatory algorithm, this is going to rotate. I don't care about what's happening with the center here. So before, when I showed it to you, if I rotated it clockwise, I had to rotate it a couple times around in order to bring this back. But now I'm just going to rotate it in a counterclockwise way, which should rotate this. So turn, 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 and turn. Not there yet, so do it again. Turn, 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 and turn. So now it's there. So just, it really doesn't matter which way you turn, I suppose, but now that's upside down, and now you put it in here. Now it turns out the rest of these just fell into place easily. If it didn't, if all of these were not in the right configuration, or just one was, then all you'd have to do is exactly what I did. You just keep doing that rotatory thing, so no biggie. Now we have to get these guys in. Well, let's start off with this. What we're going to do is we're going to solve a semi-cross. We're going to put all of these parts, components of the center in. So I need to find a red one over here, and to move it in, I have to make sure it's in the right orbit. So let's check our orbital. Yep, right over here. So once you see it in the right orbit, which it happens to be, to move this into here, now that I know that that's in there, I'm going to move this, make sure this is on the bottom, turn this so it's on the bottom. This is going to rotate into here, but this is in the way, so we just use another edge turn to move it out of the way. Then we turn this in, then we bring this back, and now we just move this back up. I don't really want to do an algorithm with this. If requested, I can do that, but I think it's pretty intuitive and it does go pretty fast. How about this one? Well, let's find a red within its orbit, and we don't have one. So we got to put one in there. So a red one should be here. Let's take a look at this red one. We want to put this red one over here so it can be within the right orbit. So I'm going to do my jumbled maneuver to put it there. Move here, move here. This upright goes up. This front left goes down. 1, 2, bang, bang. Now bring this back up. So now this is where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do to set this up to come into here is I move this down, and then I move this green one here, out of the way. So now we're set up to assemble it. We've disassembled it, now we're going to assemble it. This rotates into here, like so. This rotates back to meet it. And now this rotates up to place it. All right, so far so good. Now the orange. Well, do we have one in the orange? No. So this is where complications lie. Here's a bunch of oranges. Let's put it here. Where does this need to be? It needs to be here, so we're going to jumble this one into here. Or not jumble it, but we're going to use a jumble maneuver to put this in the right orbit. Down, down. This goes up and up over here. These two will exchange orbits, and we got it. So this is on the bottom. Okay, we're trying to put it into here. So this moves down to meet it. Bat this out of the way. So now we can assemble it. This comes in to place it. This comes in to join it. This comes up to place it. All right, we're cruising. Another one here, orange, orange, right over here. So this one's going to be blissfully easily. Now we're going to very quickly do the same thing. Down, out of the way, place, place, up. Bingo. White one, right over here. That's going to be easy. Place it down, over here, down, out of the way, put it in, place it, bring it up. So I'm moving fast now because I think I went through the concept. White, there is no white one. We have to place a white one here. Let's borrow this. Now that one's not going to work so good because if I put it down here, I'm not going to be able to get it here with one move. How about this one? Nope, same thing. These are actually in the same orbital plane. I'm going to borrow this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same technique, but this time I'm just doing it for the purposes of getting it out of the way. There, so this was really just to get it out of the way. Okay. So now that I've got it out of the way, nope. I can't get over it. Basically, these are all within the same plane. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do like a double jumble kind of a thing. Put it here, then put it here. See, I tried to cut a corner and I ended up just taking more time. Boom. And it really isn't hard to do, as you can see. Now I'm just going to put it over here. Turn, turn, up, down, turn, and we should have it. Okay. After all that, it's down over here. Turn, out of the way, turn, place, and up. So now we're good. Last one here, yellow, yellow, yellow. Got to put this one in. So we're experts at this jumble maneuver now. Very, very useful. Did a pretty good jumble scramble, didn't I? All right, and now that this is there. Now, as we're doing this, you may say, well, aren't you kind of maybe you're not paying attention to other things that you're doing? That's okay. They tend to work out okay towards the end. We'll get into how to do that. Doesn't get much more complicated. All right, so we have the first layer here. First layer is fine. The next part is we hold this upside down, and what we want to do is we first want to make sure that all of these other centers are where they're supposed to be. So I take a look at this over here. This is here. How about this guy? Well, no. This is not going to be able to make it in. This red isn't going to be able to make it in. What this red has to do is it has to make its way over here. So I've got to go through the process of putting it here and then putting it here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm throwing caution to the wind with everything else. Up, down, double turn, like so. So now this is here. I'm going to put this over here now. Turn, turn. And again, I just don't want to concentrate on too many things at one time. So I'm just doing it step by step like this. All right, so now this is where it should be, as is this. Let's just put this in just for the sake of argument. Turn, 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 turn. So I know this is set up. I know this is set up. It's where it's supposed to be. How about this? Nope. This is within the wrong orbit, so I've got to move the orbit over to here. So I'm going to hold it like this. Now I want to be careful to not take any of these guys. I don't want to exchange, so I'm just going to be exchanging these two. So this will come down here, and this will come down here. Now you may say, well, aren't you exchanging these? It's still going to be in the same orbit, and at this point I don't care because I have ways of swapping orbits swapping pieces within the same orbit if I need to. So all I want to do is get my orbits right at this point. Turn and down, move it up, and this is good. So just to prove it to ourselves, bang, zoom, pow. All right, so this is good. All right, so this has to come over here, and then it has to come over here. So turn, turn, bang, bang, boom. Okay. All right, so this has to move over to here. So I'm going to make sure that a blue is over here to exchange it with. So turn, turn, this comes up, this comes down, double turn, okay, and there it is. So this is correct, and we'll just put it in just for the sake of argument, turn, turn, and turn. So this is good, this is good, this is good, and this is good. So what I was able to do is I was able to put all these in place just by those jumbling. Now there is a scenario that can happen which can make that a little complicated. Let's explore something that might happen that's a little more complicated. Let's say we have a white one here, we want to get that in, you know, move this up here, move this up here to pair it, put it down here. And then you have a situation here, okay, we want to put the orange one in, so let's go like this, move this up here, and bang. So now we want to put the red one in. So now you're going to find yourself in kind of an infinite regress where I can't keep turning this around without putting something out. So I move this over here, 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 and turn, and I just keep going round and round and round, and I'll never get out of it. So how do I get out of it? Well, in a situation like this, what you want to do is you want to start exchanging things from within the same orbit. You know that all the orbits are right, but you got to exchange it within the same orbit. So what you want to do is get all the blues up top because you're going to do an orbital switch, and you want the orbital switch to be a blue for a blue. This is not a super helicopter, so we don't have to worry about that. But let's go ahead and just get all the blues here. So we'll turn here, here, and here. So this is in, and you're going to come about a scenario like this, where this is fine, but these two are not. So the way to get this in is you want to swap these two, and we know how to do that. And that's going to be done by swapping these, exchanging orbits, which really doesn't matter because it's the same color, and just swapping these two within the same orbit. So this moves down, and then this moves down. So now these two are going to swap, which is exactly what you want. This goes up, this goes down. These two are going to swap orbits, but who cares? Double turn, down, up. So let's swap these two, and then you just put it back. And upon doing that, that'll get you all of your centers. And now the last part is easy. We just navigate these guys. Now this is just a matter of using, all you need are those two algorithms described at the start, and you should be able to rotate those around. So first, let's see if there's any that's already in. Well, this one is in. This is blue, red, and yellow. That's in. How about here? Well, this is in as well. This is a situation of parity, because what has happened is that these two are in and these two are not. I did not give you any algorithm that will flip 2 and not 3. Perhaps such algorithm exists. I don't know about it. And there actually is an algorithm to just swap these two without jumbled moves. But all we have to do is exactly the same jumble move in order to swap these two. So even though these aren't quite where they're supposed to be in terms of rotation, they are in terms of orientation. That's where they're supposed to be on the puzzle. So here's what you do. To swap these two, we're going to do the same jumble move. But we're going to make use of the fact that it's also going to swap these two. So start off on the right side again. So you go up, right, and I'll put the notation in the description. So this is going to be right, up. Then this is going to be front, left. Exactly the same as before. And now we're going to swap these corners. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, but you're going to swap these two out of their orbits, and then these two are going to swap. Don't worry, because we're going to just turn it upside down. And then you just do the maneuver here, doing a U, and then down and up. So these two got swapped, but unfortunately so did these, and so did these. So what we want to do is we want to reverse it by doing exactly the opposite. What that's going to do is that's going to swap these guys and these guys back. These guys are going to swap, and everything is going to be upside down. So to reverse it, doing exactly the opposite, we go on the left up. Haha, this comes up, and then we do the front right. This comes down, and now that same U maneuver, 1, 2, and then bang, and bang. And what we did is we just transposed these back, and now these two have been flipped. We just flip it over like that, and now these are exactly where they need to be. So that's how you do that. So in this situation now, everything is rotated where they are, so we're going to, or where they need to be, so we're going to do our algorithm in order to flip them back. Now, it just so happened with this particular solve, it was like that and I didn't have to demonstrate the backwards C, but if you just had 1 in and 3 out, you would do that until, holding this in front of you, holding this, the one that's solved over here, and this just rotated around until these were in position. Now what I want to do is I want to coordinate it to where only one of them is rotated correctly. So which one is kind of out of sync? This is a clockwise rotation, this would be a clockwise rotation, this would be counterclockwise, and this would be counterclockwise. So let's just go ahead and do a rotation around and see what shakes out. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and 3. So we got it. One of them is in. So this is going to be the one that's going to be facing us. And now we're just going to keep rotating around until all of these guys rotate to where they're supposed to be. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, and it is solved. It is done, and you've solved your helicopter cube. I hope to have minimized algorithms, minimized memorizing, and just introduced the concept of jumbling, which we will turn next to a slightly higher order puzzle, the curvicopter.